Well, guys, we are almost to the end of Girl Meets World, but before that happens, a few more discussions are made, and one decision threatens to change everything. Hey guys, time out for Girl Meets World, Season 3, Episode 20, Girl Meets Sweet 16, and guys, we are now at crunch time, as we know. These are the final 2 episodes of Girl Meets World, on Disney Channel at least. I don't know if it's gonna get picked up or whatever, but if you guys want to hear about that, watch my World Meets Girl sort of review last week, but more of just a reflection on the show, getting canceled and where I'm gonna go from there. You know, that's another video if you guys want to hear about that. Either way, guys, I was definitely really looking forward to this episode because it's been a long time without a Girl Meets World episode. The last time was the beginning of December, and there's been a lot of time since then, and I think it's safe to say that this is one of the most, hyped up episodes we've had in a while, because of the fact that, it has been so long, and for me, at least, this is the best episode we've had since Ski Lodge, in my opinion, at least. I loved Girl Meets Sweet 16. I thought this was a great episode overall. A bit of a rocky start, I definitely will say, but overall, I really did love this episode, and especially the cliffhanger. I'm very interested in seeing where that's going to take us, but let's just get into this episode because I really do want to talk about it. Now, the beginning of this episode is the problem that I really have with it, because we see Riley and Maya talking to the bay window, which, most episodes start with, but for some reason, we see Riley, and she wants to talk about having a Sweet 16, and, Maya's telling her, look, you're not 16, you're 14. We found that Maya's 15, which I don't know why they keep, the age with this show is very off, but Boy Meets World did the same thing, so if I say it's a flaw for this show, it's kind of a flaw with Boy Meets World as well, but, that's just something that I've noticed, but, because, in Boy Meets World, they started off as, freshmen, and they ended their senior year, 2 years in, that doesn't usually happen, but they completely skipped a year, but, either way, that was definitely interesting, but Riley is talking about having a Sweet 16, which Maya tells her is not possible, and really the only reason that Riley gives that she wants this is so she can have a party, and because the Sweet 16 is, such a big deal and everything, and this whole opening, I thought some stuff was funny, definitely the whole thing with them talking about how there's always happy music following them and things like that. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought, her talking about, Maya talking about how they could have a Sweet 17, but Riley said it's not the same. I thought that was kind of funny. And they come up with this idea of having a sa, which is basically a pre-Sweet 16, they're gonna have a surprise Sweet 16. They just didn't really give much of a reason why Riley really wanted this other than she just wanted a party. It just felt so random to me, it was just kind of there just so Riley can be able to have this party, and other than that, the episode was great, but this whole thing, it just felt really random to me and didn't really feel like it needed to be there, and kind of a weird start to what ends up being a really great episode. It's just this particular beginning kind of made the episode not in the best note. Definitely not the best start we've had, I will definitely say that. However, once we get to the classroom scene, that's really when this episode started to pick up for me, because after that, then I'm like, okay, this could be a very interesting episode, because, Corey's talking about change and how big of a deal that is for them and things like that, and basically how there are certain milestones in life, and, he asked them to pick one milestone. Riley wants to pick Sweet 16, and Maya, for some reason, is so hung up on Arbor Day, which I thought was pretty funny. I kind of get why, no one really talks about. It's kind of like that holiday that no one really talks about, but Riley is so hung up on this idea of the Sweet 16, things like that, but, he's talking about, the evolution of, when we are born, and, them becoming friends, and then where they are now, so he decides that because she's so hung up on Sweet 16, because, Riley thinks that this is when, it's the beginning of adulthood, it's this great time in your life, and, Corey wants to show her that that might not necessarily be true. He tells them to basically venture, basically, flash forward to their junior year and basically think of, where their lives are going to be and how different it is. And if you guys have been in high school, you know that your junior year is one of the most emotional years you will ever go through. I mean, that year, senior year's really chill if you get into a college and things like that, but junior year, that is when you're like, holy shit, I'm gonna graduate soon. That's, a pretty big deal. So I thought this was a very interesting, subject that they had here, because, they really have to think outside the box a little bit. Smackle is thinking of going to, getting a, I don't remember what it was that she wanted, but she has this big dream and things like that, while Farkle has a different dream of going to Princeton, but Smackle wants to go to a much better college, and this is really when they have to think about, what really their lives are going to be like in 2 years, which is a pretty scary thing to think about. I mean, imagine being a freshman in high school. You're already trying to acclimate to a new change. You're just now getting used to, lockers and new students and, the teachers. You're just now getting used to all that. And then now you have to think about 2 years from now. It's just crazy to think about. It really is. And that's something this episode, I think, did a really good job in showing how in 2 years, everything can change. In just a second, everything that you do in your life could be changed completely, and I think that was just a really good message that the show had. Definitely some of the best one of the best handlings of a subject they've done in a very long time, because I feel like the second half of the season hasn't really been that story-driven, and this is definitely one of the most story-driven episodes we had in a while, and that is particularly for Farkle and Smackle, because while this episode did focus on Riley and Maya, this was Farkle and Smackle's episode, in my opinion at least. I thought this was definitely a big episode for Farkle and Smackle, which we'll get into their stuff in a second, but we get to the scene with Riley. She's talking to all of them about, where their lives are going to go, and, they're at Topanga's and everything, talking about where their lives are going to go, and the first thing that Lucas asks, is, are her and Maya still going to be friends? Which, yeah, they've already talked about how they'll be friends forever. We've seen the flash forward. We know that that is true, so they're going to be friends, forever. There's never going to be a scenario where they're not friends. No matter what happens, they will stay friends. They just have a bond that can't be broken, and we've seen that's possible. I mean, look at Corey and Sean. They're still great friends today, so yeah, that very well could happen for Riley and Maya. However, when Lucas asks if they're still going to be together, Riley says she's not sure. She's really not certain if it's going to last forever. And you definitely get the sense that their relationship is a lot stronger than that of Riley and Lucas. Now, it could be because, one, the show barely talks about it. Two, it could also be because, Riley and Lucas just don't have that close bond that Riley and Maya do. Eventually relationships, they fall to the wayside. Every relationship has an end, has a start and an end. And that is definitely a relationship that I think is already kind of going through a little bit of, a downfall. Definitely, you can already tell that relationship is not exactly working out. This kind of does scare Lucas a bit. You can tell that he really wants to keep things the same, but Riley knows that a change is eventually going to happen, and that's something that Lucas isn't really ready to face. Now, that was interesting the way the episode really portrayed that. Now, Riley and Maya, however, throughout this episode, they go through quite a lot, because Maya's talking about, really what she wants to do, and Riley's talking about, Riley wants to go to Stanford and things like that, and all these great schools, and Maya doesn't really want to do that. She wants to be a singer, we find out. She wants to possibly have a music career, and Riley thinks, okay, if we're going to be friends, I'm just going to give up my career for you. And why does she do that? Because her mom did the exact same thing. And I love that. I love that we came back to this idea that, yeah, Topanga did do that. And her life has turned out great. And she even says she'd do the exact same thing again. So it's kind of a good thing what Riley and Maya are doing, that they want to, give up this whole thing for each other. But she also tells them to really branch out and think about really what they want to do, and don't just think of this one option. They have time to just keep thinking about, the time they have and enjoy their new surroundings. And I thought that was definitely a very interesting message, the way that was done. Basically, they end the episode eventually. We'll get to the very end, but they end their whole thing because their whole storyline was there, but it kind of wasn't. Like, they definitely had stuff going on throughout the episode. But basically, they realize that they're going to enjoy their time in high school and see where life takes them, and from there, they're just going to keep going on. I thought that was definitely really great to see. I definitely really did enjoy that overall. But now let's get to the stuff I really do want to talk about, because Farkle and Smackle, like I said, were definitely, I think, the center of this episode. Most of the big stuff in the episode, except for the ending, happens with Farkle and Smackle, and I thought that was definitely very well done here. Because Farkle and Smackle talk about this whole thing where we know that Smackle has been flirting with Lucas the entire season. The entire season, I'd say even season 2, when they started dating, she has been flirting with Lucas like crazy. And Farkle thinks that they genuinely like each other, and he's starting to get a bit worried because the fact that, Lucas is saying him and Riley might not stay together. Smackle and Farkle also kind of wondering, are they really going to stay together? Are they really meant to be together? And basically, Farkle goes to Lucas, and I like what he tells him, that, look, if you like Smackle, feel free to date her. I'm not going to get in your way. And I think it's because Farkle just has this idea that Smackle is so intent on dating Lucas and that he is not good enough for Smackle and that he doesn't, shouldn't be with Smackle. And I like that he gave Lucas that permission. But Lucas, he's saying, look, she's your girl. I'm not going to take her from you. I'm with Riley right now. Everything should be fine. But they do kind of come up with this idea that maybe there's a reason why Smackle is acting this way, and there's a reason why Smackle's doing this. So Lucas decides that he's going to try to flirt with Smackle, but, try to basically bait her into seeing how she really feels. What is she really going to do if Lucas does come on to her? And we see the second that Lucas tries to come on to her, Smackle wants nothing to do with it, and she tells him straight out that, look, if Farkle was here, she would be flirting with him. And basically we realize that the reason that Smackle's doing this is not because she likes Lucas, which I definitely did like seeing. I mean, a lot of people have been wondering, a lot of people have been saying they have not done Smackle's character justice. They have not been doing things properly with her. They've not been taking her character seriously. And there's definitely moments, like her whole shutdown thing was fucking hilarious. One of the funniest moments Smackle's ever had by far. By far in the top 5, maybe funniest moments of the show of all time. I mean, that whole shutdown, I was in tears, honestly. I was in tears at laughing how hard, just how hard I was laughing because it was really hilarious the way that was done. But the whole thing with Smackle that everyone's been talking about is why is she such a flirt? I've said she's a flirt, but that's not true. The reason that she's really been flirting with Lucas is because she doesn't know if the things that Farkle and her say to each other are in fact true. And if he really feels about her in the way that she truly feels about him. And at that exact moment when she says that, Farkle appears, and it's this incredible moment when Farkle tells her that, yes, I do feel that way. I'm glad you feel that way too. And these two seem to have now fully kind of renewed their relationship. Like, they have a lot of trust in each other. They're realizing really that they love each other and that they really are meant to be together. And it's just this really beautiful moment. And sure, Riley does talk about in this moment how can we make a relationship, if it's only going to be temporary, which that was definitely one of the most interesting subjects of the episode. But I really did love the way things ended with them saying that they're going to, stay together and that they're going to go to, they're going to do these things for each other. And I just thought it was a really nice moment between those two. So I really like seeing what they did with Farkle and Smackle. That is the perfect way that you carry an arc throughout an entire season and basically end it. That was the best way of doing that. And that's something that I didn't feel they've done as much this season, when in reality they were. That whole thing with Smackle was a plot point. That was her trying to make sure that Farkle was still in love with her, and I really did love that moment. Those two are great. I really do love Farkle and Smackle together. I love it they called themselves Smarkle. Just a really, really beautiful moment for them, and definitely one of the highlights of the entire episode for sure. But then we get to the real meats and potatoes of this episode, because yes, there was a lot going on with Farkle and Smackle, but let's get to the ending, because the ending to this episode is pretty sad, honestly. It really is sad, but I feel like it was kind of warranted why it was so sad, because Riley and Maya are planning on throwing a Sweet 16. They come home, normally, everything's fine, but then they see Topanga, and Topanga's not necessarily happy, and we realize that she got a job promotion, and Corey's like, okay, why are you so upset about this? Augie's there saying, tell her not to go, and Corey just has no idea what's going on. Why would she be upset? But it turns out that it's not because she got the promotion, it's because she got a promotion to London, basically, and they have to move all the way to London in order for her to fulfill her dream of becoming, a full-time partner there. And this is something that Topanga's always wanted. She studied very hard for it. Corey's very happy for her, but it means that Riley and Maya might not be able to be friends anymore, and this might really ruin their relationship. The problem is, there are too many pros that come with this. I mean, we see the salary is, really great, and that this is a great promotion for her, this would be a great move for all of them, but are they really ready to move? And we end the episode with them saying that a decision must be made. We don't know what's going to happen there, but that is the way the episode ends. Really great stuff overall. Let me just get in this episode and talk about where I think we're going to go from here, because really there's a lot to talk about. So, like I said, this is one of the most story-driven episodes we've had in a long time, and I love that. I love when Girl Meets World takes one subject and spends an entire episode on it. That's something that they haven't really done as well, I think, in the second half. They focused a lot more on comedy, and this episode, they really didn't do that. There was definitely some really fine moments in there. Like I said, the Smackle shutdown was pretty hilarious, and stuff with Lucas was pretty funny, like Zay telling Lucas that he's going to be a high school dropout, that he's going to peak in sophomore year, and he's not going to do well from there. I thought that was pretty funny as well. I definitely really enjoyed that moment. But the stuff that I thought was really great is what this episode really had to say about life. That life is unpredictable, and we don't really know where life is going to go. And like I said, my favorite quote that really resonated me in this episode is Riley saying that why do we make friendships if they don't last forever? And I think that's something that we really don't think about. You know, think about it. When you have a friendship for someone, you have it with them for a little bit, but eventually it falls to the wayside, and you stop caring about each other, and you stop having that close bond. Your interests change, your maturity level changes, you know, things like just the littlest of things, and that just breaks apart this relationship. And that's something this episode really understood very well, is that things don't last forever. But it also was foreshadowing the ending of this episode, which kind of is referencing the ending of Girl Meets World, because no, Girl Meets World is not going to last forever. Why invest your time on a TV show when it's not going to last forever? Why do anything because it's not going to last forever? Because that's not how life works. Everything in life is temporary. Everything in life is, you know, only a part of your life. And that's something that Riley, I think, really understood in this episode, especially when it comes to what she's going to have to do with London, because this is a pretty big decision. I mean, this could be a really great thing for Topanga, but a not so great thing for Riley and Maya. And there, like I said, there are a lot of pros and cons here. Obviously, the con is that Riley and Maya won't get to see each other anymore, and Riley's going to have to say goodbye to Lucas and Smackle. But at the same time, this is great for Topanga, and it's something that she really wants. And this is the perfect way to set up a finale. And if they're really going where I think they're going to go, with them moving to London, I think it could be a very fulfilling ending. Why? Because Boy Meets World ended that way. So if that's really where they're going with this, I completely understand. Boy Meets World ended with a big move, and if Girl Meets World ends with a big move, that'll make perfect sense. But I do know they're trying to do whatever they can to make sure the show lives on, because they know how dedicated their fan base is. Michael Jacobs has talked about how he wants to continue doing the show on Netflix. Now, more about that next week, but either way, guys, not here to talk about the ending of Girl Meets World. This episode was incredible. I really did love it overall. Like I said, my only real flaws are that Lucas and Zay, despite a couple things, you know, Lucas had the involvement in Smackle and Farkle's plot. He didn't really have his own thing to do here. He had thing with Zay, but we didn't really get to see it. We kind of just heard about it, and that was the end of it. We didn't really get to see a ton of it go on. They did show how Zay doesn't really have a relationship or anything like that. Like, that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that overall, and I always enjoy, you know, Zay's humor. I think he's a very funny actor. Definitely Uriah Shelton is great as that character. He does a really great job. But I really did love the Farkle and Smackle stuff, and between that and then what was going on with Riley and Maya, and especially the ending, this is one of the best episodes of Girl Meets World in a very long time. I'd say even it's better than the Christmas episode. The Christmas episode was a great Christmas episode, definitely. But this was the best episode we've had in a long time. It was emotional, it was funny, it was very sad, with a very poignant and possibly game-changing ending. And for sure, I'm definitely going to give Girl Meets World Season 3, Episode 20, Girl Meets Sweet 16, a 4.5 out of 5 or an A-. Like I said, guys, a bit of a rocky start, but overall a very well-done episode with a very interesting ending. I'm not entirely sure where we're going to go from here, but if this really is the end for Girl Meets World, I can definitely see where the show is going to go, and I think it's the perfect way for them to, you know, get us to that point of the series finale next week, because next week could be the potential series finale. This is the perfect way of getting us into that, definitely. But overall, guys, of this video, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode overall. Loved your thoughts on it. Definitely looking forward to next week. I can't believe that we're already there next week. Next week, guys, that's it. We are at the end of Girl Meets World, at least for Disney Channel. I'm not sure if the show is going to continue, but we'll have to see. Next week is Girl Meets Goodbye, which sounds pretty final to me, but again, I don't know. If you guys have seen the episode, please don't tell me anything. I really want to be kept as secret as possible, but that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the series premiere of a series of unfortunate events, which I am so looking forward to, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.